Welcome back to the GSMC Hockey Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. We're getting into our fifth and final segment of the night where we will be talking about the key matchups to this series and a preview and see how these teams match up against each other. We're going to get right into the Edmonton Oilers and their keys to this series, and the number one key is Connor McDavid. This guy needs to play like the best player on the ice every time he's out there. This is the biggest 7-game stretch of his career. He needs to win this Stanley Cup Finals. Who knows if he'll get this great of a shot again in his career. It is the hardest trophy to win in sports for a reason. You could only get one shot at this. The star-studded Tampa Bay Lightning team only got 2 cracks at winning a cup. So you could really see how hard it is. And you know, for the Edmonton Oilers and for Connor McDavid, it's not like the 80s when Gretzky won his 5. It's the hardest thing to do in sports for a reason. There are, let's look at the regular season this year. Let's see how many teams coming into this postseason we legitimately thought had a chance at the Cup. New York Rangers, yeah, President's Trophy winner, they definitely could have won the Cup. Dallas Stars, 113 points, yeah, they were 2 games away from making the Cup final. Carolina Hurricanes, oh yeah. They definitely could have won the Cup. They're a fantastic team from top to bottom. Winnipeg Jets, coming into the postseason, we thought that team could have done something. Of course, they were horrid, but they definitely could have done something. And going up against the Colorado Avalanche in the first round is no easy task. But 110 points for the Winnipeg Jets in the regular season, they definitely could have won the Cup. Florida Panthers, they're on the other side. They definitely could have won the Cup. Vancouver Canucks, they took this Oilers team to 7 games. That Canucks team is a very good team. They were a Thatcher Demko, him being healthy away from probably winning that series. I think that could have been the difference in any of those games. So, Winnipeg Jets, Florida Panthers, Canucks, we're at 6 right now. Boston Bruins, okay, I'll give you that. I never thought that they could win the Cup. Colorado Avalanche, I did think that they could win the Cup. With Valeri Nichushkin, I think that they win that series against the Stars, too. Everything changed for them when that series got flipped upside down. The Edmonton Oilers definitely could win the Cup. Toronto Maple Leafs, everybody believed that they could win the Cup. Okay, Kings, nobody really thought that they could. Predators, nobody really thought that they could. Vegas Golden Knights, that team definitely could have won the Cup. And then I think maybe the Tampa Bay Lightning are the last team that you could really argue could have won the Cup here. That's what, 12 teams, 11 teams could have won the Cup? It's very hard. It is very hard to be one of the best teams in the NHL. So I think that this is a big series for Connor McDavid. What you basically did is you narrowed that 11 teams that could have won the Cup down to 2 now. Only the Oilers and only the Panthers can win the Cup. If you look at that just mathematically there, that's a 50-50 chance of him, adding to his legacy and being a Cup champion. And he needs it. Can't be the greatest of all time if you've never won a Stanley Cup, if you never won a champion. Name me one greatest of all time player that has never won a championship in their sport. It doesn't exist. So, for Connor McDavid, this is absolutely a legacy, postseason. We talked about it, I think it was a couple weeks ago going into the Dallas Stars series, that he needed this. And he definitely still does need it. So that's my first key. Second key is Stuart Skinner. Talk about the goaltenders a lot, and we talk about them a lot for a reason. He was lights out in the end of the Dallas Stars series. He needs to continue to do this because Sergei Bobrovsky is not letting up goals. And whether you believe that that's Sergei Bobrovsky or if that's the fantastic defense of the Florida Panthers, they're not letting up goals. So Stuart Skinner needs to not let up goals as well. Although you have a better offense, but your better offense only just got 10 shots on goal. In a game 6, in a closeout game, you don't think that that's gonna it was such an anomaly. How many posts did they hit? They missed the net on like 30 different occasions. Their shot attempts were pretty close to Florida Panthers shots attempts, so they just missed the net so much in that game. But yeah, Stuart Skinner needs to come in big. That's my second key for the Edmonton Oilers. And then my third key is between a lot of things, I think you could go with Evan Bouchard here. I think you could go with the depth forwards maybe stepping up. I think you could go with their power play, but I ultimately do go with Evan Bouchard. I think he is my third biggest key for the Edmonton Oilers. I think this defenseman has been playing lights out, and I think he needs to step up and play lights out, because the rest of the defensive core for the Edmonton Oilers is horrid. I mean, let's look at their postseason stats. Evan Bouchard, 27 and 18. Yeah, that's great. Matthias Ekholm, 7 and 18. Okay. Brett Kulak, 5 and 18. Okay. Cody Ceci, 4 points in 18. Darnell Nurse, 3 and 18. Oh, that guy sucks. And Vincent Desharnais is probably your sixth defenseman, and that guy has 1 point in 15 games played. So when it comes to offensive production by defensemen, I talk about this a lot. You're going to need that. You're going to need a horse on the blue line, and Evan Bouchard is absolutely it for the Edmonton Oilers, really picking up where Tyson Barrie left off for the Edmonton Oilers, and is so good offensively. So 27 points in 18 games played. He needs to continue that production. He right now is at a 27 points in 18 games played. That's what I just said. Never mind. He's at 1.5 points per game production. So he needs to continue with that. He's been impressive. Now, looking on to the other side is the Florida Panthers. And my number one key to this series for them is Matthew Tkachuk. It's the superstars on both ends of the ice as my number one keys. McDavid, respectfully, for the Oilers, and Matthew Tkachuk for the Florida Panthers. He is a fantastic player, Matthew Tkachuk. Over point per game in the regular season at 88 points, I think I said it was for him. He leads the way. He sets the tone for this Florida Panthers team. How he's playing, his physical nature and his, speed really sets the tone for this Florida Panthers team. So he needs to continue that, and that leads me right into my second key for the Florida Panthers. I think it's very simple for the Florida Panthers, whereas for the Edmonton Oilers, it's a little bit more. You need to talk about why. Physical play is my number two for the Florida Panthers. That's how they beat the Boston Bruins. That's how they beat the New York Rangers, is physical play. They made the other team uncomfortable, and they dominated on the boards, down low, in puck battles. They won the second puck every time. I mean, very impressive stuff from the Florida Panthers, all led by Matthew Tkachuk, by the way. That's why I say he sets the tone. This team really looks up to this guy. They look up to Alexander Barkov. They look up to Aaron Ekblad. And all three of these guys are really gritty players. Really, their entire core plays this way. Sam Bennett, Sam Reinhart, Anton Lundell, Gustav Forsling. This entire team plays this physical and dominant nature, and they impose their will on the opponents. And that's what gets them to this point. And they need to not give up to the speed and talent of the Edmonton Oilers, and they definitely could. And that's what I would be worried about, is if the Edmonton Oilers just start doing fancy stick moves, trick moves, basically just sliding the puck every which way, making these guys overextend and put themselves out there, trying to go for a hit or something like that, trying to go for the puck, and then they make them pay on the on the break. That's how the Edmonton Oilers win games in this series. So I would be worried about that. You can't miss hits, you can't miss stick checks, you can't miss. You need to be flawless in the Stanley Cup Finals. You need to be flawless. So this Stanley Cup Final, I think these two teams match up so well, and I'm so excited for it. And I think the third and final thing is the fast play of the Florida Panthers. What are the Edmonton Oilers forwards known for? Their speed. Connor McDavid is the fastest skater in the NHL. Leon Draisaitl is fast. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is fast. Zach Hyman is fast. I mean, these guys are fantastic skaters, of course. They're some of the best skaters in the world. They need to continue to be, or the Florida Panthers need to run with them. They need to contend with them vertically. Make this a race, and I think the Florida Panthers would win that race, because I think that they have more stamina. I think that they are more, they have more of that physical nature in them to be able to have that durability and the endurance that they need to win this series. So this is why I say that these two teams match up so well. And there's so much to talk about in this series, but I cannot fit it all in this podcast. We are running a little bit over on the time. So thank you all for tuning in to the GSMC Hockey Podcast. That'll wrap it up for this first of 3 podcasts we're going to be coming at you this week with the talking about Stanley Cup Finals. A lot to talk about in this one, so I'm excited for this week. Going into Saturday, into Game 1, we're ready for it. Couldn't be more excited for the Stanley Cup Finals. I think we got 2 of the best teams in the NHL going battling it out, and I cannot tell you who's going to win yet, because one, I don't know. I haven't formulated an opinion on that, and 2, I do want to save that for Friday. So looking forward to the rest of the week. Looking forward to Saturday. Thank you all for tuning in to the GSMC Hockey Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. If you guys like the show, don't forget to subscribe to the GSMC Sports Network or GSMC Podcast Network on YouTube. Your support does mean a lot to us, so if you do enjoy this content, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, at GSMC Podcast Network. All the support means so much to us, so thank you guys once again, and have a fantastic evening from the GSMC Hockey Podcast.